I found her going through my mail again. That was the moment I knew Diane wasn't just insulting me anymore. She was planning something. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because you do not want to miss how this one ends. Alright, let's get into it. My name is Claire Whitfield, and for 6 years, my sister-in-law Diane made sure I knew exactly where I stood in this family. Bottom of the ladder. Every single time. It started small. The first Thanksgiving I spent with my husband Ryan's family, Diane looked me up and down across the table and asked, "So what do you do? Besides, staying home." I told her I ran a home bakery. Custom cakes, mostly for weddings and birthdays. I'd built it from nothing, working out of my own kitchen at 5 in the morning before Ryan even woke up. Diane just smiled. That's cute. A little hobby. A hobby. After I'd just paid off $11,000 in equipment loans that year. I let it go. You do that when you're trying to keep the peace in a family that isn't quite yours yet. But it never stopped. Every family dinner, every holiday, every birthday party for the next 6 years, Diane found a way to remind everyone at that table that I was just a housewife. She'd bring up her law firm job, her corner office, her bonuses. Then she'd turn to me with that same fake sweet smile and ask how the cupcake business was going. Ryan noticed. He'd squeeze my hand under the table sometimes. But he never said anything to her directly. That's just how Diane is, he'd tell me later. She doesn't mean anything by it. She meant everything by it. By year 4, my hobby was pulling in 6 figures a year. I had 3 part-time employees. I supplied cakes to 2 hotels downtown. But at every dinner, I was still just a housewife to Diane. I stopped correcting her. I stopped trying to prove anything. I just watched. And I listened. Because here's the thing about people like Diane, they talk. A lot. Especially when they think you're too small to matter. That's how I found out, over Christmas 2 years ago, that her law firm had passed her over for partner twice. That her fiancé had quietly moved out the year before and nobody in the family was supposed to know yet. That the corner office she loved mentioning wasn't even hers, she shared it with 2 other associates. I never said a word. I just filed it away. Then, this March, everything changed. I was at Ryan's parents' house, dropping off some paperwork for his dad, when I found Diane in the study, standing over my purse. My mail was spread across the desk, bank statements, a letter from my accountant about a business expansion loan I was considering. She jumped when she saw me. Tried to laugh it off. Oh, I was just looking for a pen. A pen. In my purse. I didn't say anything that day. I just picked up my mail, put it back where it belonged, and left. But 3 weeks later, my phone rang. It was Diane. Her voice was different, smaller, tighter than I'd ever heard it. "Claire," she said, "I need to ask you something. And I need you to not tell Ryan yet." I sat down at my kitchen counter, phone pressed to my ear, my heart pounding for reasons I couldn't quite explain yet. "I'm in trouble," she said. "I need to borrow some money." I almost laughed out loud. 6 years of just a housewife. 6 years of that smile across every dinner table. And now she was calling me the hobbyist, the cupcake lady, asking for a loan. "How much?" I asked, keeping my voice perfectly calm. The number she gave me made my stomach drop. It wasn't just trouble. It was the kind of trouble that ends careers. And that's when I realized this wasn't going to be about the money at all. $42,000. That's what Diane needed. And when I asked why, the silence on the other end of the phone told me this wasn't about a bad month or a slow quarter. "It's complicated," she finally said. I've learned that it's complicated usually means I did something I shouldn't have, and now I need someone else to fix it. I told her I'd think about it and call her back. Then I hung up and sat at my kitchen counter for a long time, just staring at the wall. Ryan came home to find me still sitting there an hour later. "You okay?" he asked, setting his keys down. I almost told him everything right then. But something stopped me. Call it instinct. Call it 6 years of being underestimated by his sister. I wanted to understand the full picture before I said a word. So I did what I do best. I got quiet and I got smart. The next morning, I called my accountant, Marcus, who'd handled my books for 4 years. I didn't mention Diane by name, just asked him, hypothetically, what kind of situation would make a mid-level associate at a law firm need to come up with over $40,000 fast and quietly. Marcus didn't even hesitate. Missing client funds, he said. Or she borrowed against something she shouldn't have. Happens more than people think. That sent a chill through me. Because 2 months earlier, at Easter dinner, Diane had mentioned, bragging, as usual, that she was handling an estate case for an elderly client. A wealthy one. She'd made some joke about how some people just don't know how much they actually have. I hadn't thought much of it at the time. Now it sat in my stomach like a stone. I called Diane back that evening. I want to help, I told her. But I need to understand what's going on. All of it. There was a long pause. Then she cracked. She'd been borrowing from a client trust account for the better part of a year. Small amounts at first, she said, to cover a gambling debt she'd never told anyone about, not even her own parents. Then the amounts got bigger. Now the firm was doing a routine audit in 6 weeks, and if the money wasn't back in that account before then, she wasn't just going to lose her job. She was going to lose everything. Possibly even face criminal charges. You're the only one I can ask, she said, her voice cracking. You have the money. I know you do. And there it was. 6 years of just a housewife, and now I was the only one with enough money to save her. I told her I needed a few days. What I actually needed was time to think clearly, because I could feel the old anger creeping in, the years of being dismissed, of watching Ryan stay silent, of smiling through insults at every family gathering. Part of me wanted to slam the door in her face. Tell her to sink. But another part of me, the part that had built a 6-figure business out of a hobby, knew that revenge born from anger is sloppy. Revenge born from patience is something else entirely. I didn't tell Ryan yet. Not because I wanted to keep secrets from my husband, but because I needed one thing first, proof. If I was going to do something with what I knew, I needed it to be undeniable. So I called Marcus again and asked him something else. Something that would change everything. If someone wanted to report suspected theft from a client trust account, I asked carefully, who would they actually go to? And would there be a way to do it that protected the person reporting it? Marcus went quiet for a second. Claire, he said slowly, what exactly have you gotten yourself into? I didn't answer right away. Because I was still deciding something much bigger than whether to lend Diane the money. I was deciding whether Just a Housewife was about to teach her entire family a lesson none of them would forget. Marcus explained it carefully. In most states, there are legal channels, state bar associations, ethics hotlines, even anonymous tip lines, specifically for reporting suspected misconduct by attorneys. Reports could be made confidentially. The firm would be obligated to investigate. And if the claims were true, the consequences would fall entirely on the person who'd actually done something wrong. Not on me. Not on Ryan. Just on Diane and the choices she'd made. But I didn't move yet. I wanted one more piece first. I called Diane back and told her I was seriously considering helping her, but I needed to see the numbers myself, statements, account details, anything that showed exactly what she'd taken and from where. I framed it as due diligence. If I'm lending you this much money, I said, I need to know I'm not walking into something worse. She believed me completely. That's the thing about people who've spent years underestimating you. They never expect you to be the one holding all the cards. She sent me copies of everything. Client account numbers, dates, amounts, a clear, documented trail of exactly what she'd done, going back 11 months. I sat on that information for 3 days. Not because I was uncertain anymore, but because I wanted to give her one real chance to fix this herself, the honest way. I called her and told her the truth. I wasn't going to give her the money. But I would help her find a lawyer, a real one, someone who specialized in these situations, who could help her go to the firm voluntarily, return what she could, and get ahead of the audit before it became a criminal matter instead of a civil one. Diane's voice turned cold instantly. So that's it? 6 years of family, and you're just going to let me drown? I'm not letting you do anything, I said. You did this. I'm just not going to lie for you. She hung up on me. 2 days later, I got a call from Ryan's mother, sobbing. Diane had told the entire family a very different version of events, that I'd threatened to expose her unless she paid me back for years of disrespect, that I was some kind of vindictive gold digger who'd been waiting for a chance to destroy her. This was the moment I'd been quietly preparing for. I sat Ryan down that night and told him everything, from the moment I found Diane going through my purse to the documents she'd sent me herself. I showed him the messages, the dates, her own words, admitting what she'd done. Ryan went pale. Then he went very, very quiet. The next Sunday, at what was supposed to be a normal family dinner, Diane arrived ready for battle, already telling her parents I couldn't be trusted. I let her finish. Then I calmly asked if she wanted to explain to everyone at the table where the missing client trust funds had actually gone. The room went silent. I hadn't reported her. Not yet. I told her, in front of everyone, that she still had a choice: go to the firm herself, with a lawyer, and try to make this right before the audit. Or don't, and let the chips fall wherever they landed. I never had to make that call to the Bar Association. 2 weeks later, faced with the truth sitting in the open, Diane finally did it herself. She hired a lawyer, disclosed what she'd taken, and worked out a repayment plan with her firm to avoid criminal charges. She lost her job. Her reputation in that legal community was finished. But she wasn't in prison, and she wasn't my responsibility either. Here's the twist nobody in the family saw coming, including me. 6 months later, the hotel chain I'd been supplying cakes to for years offered to buy a majority stake in my business and help me franchise it regionally. The same cupcake hobby Diane had mocked at every dinner for 6 years was suddenly worth more than her law firm salary ever was. At Thanksgiving this year, nobody asked me how the cupcake business was going. Diane wasn't there. She'd moved to another state to start over, quietly, and the family gave her that space. I didn't destroy her. I just stopped protecting her from the truth. And in the end, that was enough. If you enjoyed this story, let me know in the comments what you would have done in my place. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more real, emotional stories like this one every week. See you in the next one.